Oof, I just had some of these little spicy, what are they? Spicy flour stick snack, spicy flavour. There's an Asian market just around the corner, and that's where I get them from, and that's fantastic. That's not what the video is about, by the way. The video is quite simply about this. When you're building something new, a new bit of software, a SaaS or whatever, you don't need microservices, and you don't need Kubernetes. Microservices are really complicated, and Kubernetes is really complicated. Ultimately, what you're trying to do with your software is quite simply this. You're trying to run it so that you have a process running on a computer that listens for network connections. That's it. That's all you get when you run it directly, manually, on an operating system like Linux, on an EC2 instance. You get a port that opens up with your process behind it, and that's what you get when you run it with Kubernetes, except there's several more layers and layers of abstraction and complexity involved, and lots of prerequisites set up to get that going versus getting this going over here. So that's ultimately all you want to do. Microservices are very complicated. It is basically distributed computing, and that's one of the hardest problems to solve. And Kubernetes is also very complicated because it's designed for complex solutions that require another complex solution in order to deliver them continuously and constantly as you're updating small features and introducing new microservices constantly over and over. And when I say constantly, I mean on the weekly, and in some cases you're making daily changes to your infrastructure all the time. What's she doing? Daisy, what are you doing? So both of them are just really, really complicated. Now, those things are also expensive. Then now you might be thinking, no, Kubernetes, managed Kubernetes is actually quite cheap. Yet it is from a managed service provider, but it's the labor that you gotta watch out for. People who are capable of implementing microservices and are really good at it and know how to do it from day one really well are very expensive programmers, and engineers who can build a Kubernetes cluster for you and actually have it production grade, highly available, DR in place, RBAC lockdown, you got RBAC level networking, software defined networking, you got your mesh networking there, you got CI/CD, observability. You can't just fire it up and run a process on it. That's not a production grade Kubernetes cluster. It's not a silver bullet, it's not a panacea. It requires expensive labor to get it to a high standard, and you need at least 2 to 3 engineers to do it as well. In Australia, a junior engineer who come with no experience through to maybe 2-3 years experience can demand anywhere between sort of 60 and 85, maybe upwards to $100,000 a year. Someone with 2 or 3 years of experience just with Kubernetes, not to mention the 5, 6, 7, 8 years prior to that, is you're looking at 150k base wage plus pension. You're looking at closer to 185, 90, and that's if you're in Brisbane. If you're in Sydney or Melbourne, you can go even north of 200,000 in some cases. So the labor required to implement those things is actually really, really expensive. Whereas juniors can get a load balancer and a pair of EC2 instances up and running within a week with your software running on it, and they can understand it and they can maintain it. Also, microservices are about scaling horizontally. Do you know what's far cheaper than the labor required to get microservices and Kubernetes up and running? Do you know what's far cheaper than that? Silicon and RAM, i.e. just scale up your EC2 instances. If you need to scale up one part of the monolith, just scale up the entire thing, vertically and horizontally. That's a thing now. It's really, really not that hard to do. So I wanted to cover this because it's being a recurring thing here in Brisbane, as I'm seeing for clients, as people jumping on the Kubernetes bandwagon. And what's actually quite interesting is a friend of mine, James, actually had a contract recently whereby he took someone off Kubernetes. He was hired to take people off Kubernetes because it was just overkill, it was overly complicated, and it was frankly just crazy. And the business oh my god chili, oh my god, never before a video again. As I was saying, the business actually found it hard to hire labor to do the Kubernetes side of things. For those of you out there that are like, no, Kubernetes, go back and just look at systemd and Linux and just look at how much you can do now with the operating system. Go and try and deploy your software with a systemd. Use systemd timers, use end containers and things like that. Go and have a look at those things and come back and tell me whether really you're not pretty much getting the same thing, just except for all of the deployment stuff. It's really a no-brainer in my opinion. But anyway, I just wanted to whip up a quick video where I just discussed that, coughed in your face because I've had chili. You get to see Daisy again. There she is. Ooh, she's so cute. She's tired. yeah, I just wanted to cough in your face because of these little chilly numbers here, and drink some water in front of you, but also just say, please don't just jump on the Kubernetes bandwagon. Actually think it through. You can do it far cheaper, far easier. Also, this is going to be another video, but you don't have to automate things right away. It's okay to do things manually from day one, and then automate later on when it becomes a very stable economic machine that's taking inputs and producing outputs, and those outputs produce money. Once that machine's going, then you can start stabilizing it and automating it and bringing stability to processes. Anyway, that's it. If you want to come onto Discord, I'll leave a link in the description below. I'm not been working on the WASP stuff, the World of Solarcraft stuff, for a little while. Just been busy with work. Next year that is going to change massively as I move away from full-time employment and move into double full-time employment in the form of my own company that I'm setting up, my own training. I'm also finishing my grad cert, and then I'll be starting a master's degree in cybersecurity, so I'll be discussing that as well. And yeah, I'll just be having fun. So Christmas period is here, the holiday season. Have a great holiday season, relax, chill out, play some games, don't get too drunk, have fun. Come over on Discord and wish everyone a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holiday, whatever it is that you celebrate. If you don't celebrate anything at all, then just have a great December. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.